Ochite guys, people, welcome. Hi, I'm Karol J, and thank you for coming back to Flashlightunity. Um, I decided that I wanted to maybe talk a little bit, just talk, basically about myself and, the channel, and just give you a little insight onto me and some of my views today. I felt like I wanted to express myself today. And so, once again, I am Karol J. I'm just, I don't like to say average because I don't really think nobody's really average. Everybody's unique in their own special way. So if I was to say, oh, I'm just your average person, just like you, that wouldn't actually be accurate because I am strikingly unique. I am strikingly unique in my own right, and I own that, I'm quite outstanding in my own right, as you should be in your own right? This is how we elevate. This is how we should always see and view ourselves, in comparison to anything else or anyone else. Consider ourselves first as being number one. So with that being said, I've been putting out a lot of videos, and first of all, I'm in this beautiful park. I just love nature. Nature is a great way to release, to relax yourself and get the stress off, get the kinks out. So, if you find a park, if you have a park near you, even if you have to travel to one, go to a park and just sit and listen to all the noises, all the natural noises, because nothing in nature pretends, everything in nature is what it is, it does not pretend. So I'm in the park. It's kind of hot though, so I'm gonna try to make this video as quick as I possibly can, but I kind of wanted to introduce myself so you guys can get like an idea of me and who's bringing you all this revolutionary information. So like I said, I am uniquely remarkable, and in my mind's eye, so there comes a time where things come to you, and they come to you from above sources, higher sources, and so you take those sources and you have the mission to spread them. This is exactly what I'm doing here. I am spreading the information from above, and so I take great pride in doing this. I take a lot of effort, a lot of time in creating the flyers, the artwork, because I am an artist. I like to create, so I thought I'd come on and just let you know just how much effort, just how much pride I take in trying to save lives, because ultimately that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to save lives. I'm putting out the information to the masses so that they can take heed, so that they can start thinking critically, for themselves, not allowing anybody else to say words that sway them or deter them or diminish them, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Because, at the end of the day, there is no man that's better than another. There is no man better than another. And it does not matter about material status or where you were born or anything. There is no man walking this earth that is technically better than the other. Now when you talk about skill set and and doing things like that, you might have somebody that play basketball better, or somebody who sing better. Those are attributes, those are gifts. So some people are better at certain gifts than others, but that's why we're all uniquely made. We're all individually and uniquely made. So we should not be comparing ourselves to somebody else's better in any one particular subject. Be your best you that you can be, whatever your talent, whatever your gift is, so I've been putting out the word. And so when you're starting a movement and you're trying to get the word out there, it really kind of saddened me when I see just how asleep the people are, because you're trying to give out information. It's to the point where people don't even take 5 seconds to listen to information, even information to save their lives, so let's say, I'm speaking of like people that's on the street. And granted, I know there are people on the street that are looking for something, somebody's, we all looking for something, right? But in that aspect, in that regard, even though we're all looking for something, how do you know that what you're looking for is coming through a particular individual. We don't know who's who in this world. This flesh suit that we wear, because we're all spirit. This flesh suit that we wear, nobody knows what's underneath, the greatness that's underneath. And we don't know, who God put greatness in, despite how we think they look to us on the outside. And that's just to say, what I notice is the people are extremely in a haze. They are deep, deep, deep in a haze, to the point that they don't want to listen to any information, and they have the energy as if they're like in a rush. A lot of the people, they would say, oh, I gotta go this, that, and the other. And if we was to really go into where they're going, not that it matters, but where they're going, it's probably somewhere for the other man. And life was never supposed to be us rushing around for the other man. Life was supposed to be for us, rushing around for ourselves. If we're going to rush around for anybody, it should be us rushing around for ourselves. And, so, I'm just saying that because, and I'm saying it so people can kind of take heed. Never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by their words, because just because somebody is saying something and you may not grasp that something, or you may not receive that something, does not mean that something is not valid, that something is not important, that is something is not worthy of you taking 5 seconds to listen to. Because, as I wrote and, as I put in some of the artwork, it's going to be a time when it's going to be a bunch of woulda, coulda, shouldas. You know what I mean? And in hindsight, we all could look at hindsight and say, man, if I get another chance to do this, I'm going to do that, But sometimes in this life, there is no second chances, There is no second chances. So the woulda, coulda, shoulda is just that. It's just a woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's classified as a missed opportunity. And with those missed opportunities, you kind of mentally beat yourself up because you had the chance. Like wisdom, it says that wisdom is everywhere. There's so much information out here, wisdom is everywhere. And a lot of it is free. You know what I mean? It's just free wisdom that you can gain, free knowledge, that you can gain and you can utilize to build yourself up. But guess what? I go to libraries across all cities, and, I go to some libraries in the suburbs, and those libraries be jam-packed, like the parking lot is full. But for some reason, when I go to the library in the urban areas, where there's predominantly Black and brown people, the parking lot is empty. And I'm not talking about no mega libraries either. I'm talking about all ranges of libraries, from small, medium to large libraries. The parking lot is empty. And you know what that tells me? That tells me that my people, the Black and brown people, are not reading. And I know that there's a lot of resources that you can read online, so I will take that into account when I see an empty parking lot. But there's nothing like going to a library, you know what I mean? Surrounding yourself with all that energy, the knowledge within the books that's in the library, And this is something that you would have to absolutely understand, that you are absolutely energy, vibration, and frequency, to get my drift, as far as going to a library and sitting around all the knowledge, soaking in that energy and knowledge that's on the shelves, because all it is energy. All we all are is energy. So because you never know what you can find when you're or what kind of creativity you can have. Most people are so bombarded within their life and with their life, and then not so much a happy life. You know what I mean? It's more like a design life, or just the cards that was dealt life. I mean, we all kind of deal with that, right? But how many of us recognize that we can change the cards? I mean, I don't know if you ever play cards, where they pass out cards in the deck, and you pick them up, and if you got good cards, you smile and you like, oh yeah, I got this. But when you get those bad cards, your frown, your smile turn into a frown, and you looking like, man, I ain't gonna be able to do nothing with these cards. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a lie, because I know I play spades, and where all my spades players at. I used to play spades. Well, I still do from time to time, once I find the right crew that can, give me a challenge, So, if you're a spade player, you got it, let me know. But yeah, we used to play spades, and when I got the hand was dealt out, and we all know what good cards are, and we all know, in the deck, in the average card deck, we all know what's perceived as good cards and what's perceived as not so good cards, mediocre cards. Man, I got a hand, and this is on multiple occasions, and this is where the skill come in. This is where the mindset come in that say, okay, just because I got a hand that looks like it's lemons, I'm about to make some lemonade on that ass, So in playing the card game, I got my hand, and it was perceived, somebody else would be like, oh man, you ain't gonna do nothing with that. Those hands like that, it's kind of like, when you think something is one way, it ends up being another way. It's because it's all about your perspective and the way that you're looking at something. So, my first perspective when I got the car, it's like, oh man, this ain't okay, I'm gonna count this hand out. But as I start playing, and so the moral was for me to play the hand anyway, like, because it was a game, right? We was having a card game. I got the hand that I got, and so I had to deal with the hand that I was dealt. I had to play the hand that I was dealt. So, and this is kind of how life go, because this life is a big old game, right? It's a big old game. And the key to winning this life is to learn the rules. It took me a long time to learn that, but the key to winning the game in this life is to learn the rules. But most people are not even taking the initiative to even learn the first rule, let alone the rest of the rules, or connecting the rules to be applied in their life, and that's just what I'm talking about. When wisdom is presented, you're not able to hear it, even though it's right there in your face, even though you got two ears and it's loud and it's blasting. You're not able to hear it, and this has nothing to do with your hearing per se, because your hearing can be just fine. It could be spectacular. But if your mind is not open or in a place where it is able to receive the wisdom, the information, the knowledge, then you're not going to hear a lot of things that you need to hear. So, this video is kind of more like it's about critical thinking. And, the critical thought is, when you look at your life right now, think critically, just like the hand I got. So let me finish this story about the card game. So yeah, so when I initially got the hand, it was a bad hand, but I knew I still had to play the hand anyway. So I started to play the hand, and as the cards came out, I think it's like 13 cards that you get. So as the cards came out, I was winning. Like my cards was top cards. And for the life of me, I could not understand. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, somebody hiding cards, because I don't know where these cards are. And when it was all said and done, we actually won that hand. Like, we had the most books in that particular spread for our hands being dealt. Something that started off as appearing bad from first perspective turned out us winning big time. Like, they actually went in the hole, because they didn't make their books. How do you do that? How you do that? So even though I got those cards and they was bad, I still had to play the hand anyway. You know what? I still had to play it. And not only did I have to play the hand, I had to play the hand with like optimism and with like optimism, with strategy. I had to strategize, and the goal when you play in spades, you got to know what was kind of in other people's hands. And it's not so much you get to see their hand. They ain't gonna flip it around and show it to you. No, they gonna you got to try to pay attention to what the cards have been played already, because if you miss what's been played already and you put out a card that you think is top dog at that particular time, you will lose a card or a win that you should have won. So I had to play the hand anyway, and once as it started going on, I started to build up, and I was like, okay, let me start paying more attention. I started paying attention to the cards that was being played, and that's how we got almost 10 books, and they were set. That's what it's called, because you gotta predict your books, that you want to make. And that's kind of like life. Life, you gotta predict. You gotta kind of predict on purpose your life that you want, because if you don't, then the life is going to predict itself to you. So wisdom is everywhere. And if we're not actively predicting what we want our life to be, then life is going to predict itself to us. And let me give you an example of that. That is, you you work in a job that you don't like. You work in a job that you don't like. This job says, oh, yeah, we're doing mandatory overtime. You already know that you're tired. You're tired with the 40 hours that they give, let alone coming in like an extra day or an extra half a day. It don't matter. Who wants to do that? You know what I mean? So you're working a job and you already don't like the job and you're already working in scheduled time. And then they say, well, it's mandatory. And this mandatory status is a matter of you either work mandatory or you don't have a job no more. This is what I mean when I say life is dictating to you. Life is predicting your life. You know what I mean? Your movements, because you can't get up and go where you want to go. If somebody say, oh, we going over here or we going to do this today, you can't go because you have to go to work, and it's mandatory. Now, normally this is a day that you have off, but because they said it's mandatory, you have to go. And I'm using this as an example because it's extreme, to give you an idea of how you dictate your life, or you perceive your life or plan your life, or you let life plan you, And so, in that moment when we are in these jobs, and, I'm just speaking from experience. Ain't nothing that I'm saying is nothing that I have not been through before. I don't believe there's probably anything anybody can say that will say, that I wouldn't understand, because I've been through it all. Trust me, I know what I'm saying. So, so if you don't make an attempt to plan your life, and it's not easy at first, because let's face it, society trains us to be puppets. Society trains us to be good little humans, where we sit down, where we fall in line, where we do what we told. They trained us from elementary school, and really, because they trained our parents or our elders or whoever our responsible party was that raised us, they trained them first. And so our first wave of being inducted into the matrix, the societal system, the hypnotic system, I should say, is from home, from the parents, depending on who your guardians are at that particular time. You're trained on certain aspects on how to perform, how to conduct yourself, how to believe, how to move, and then when you go in society, it is further indoctrinated into you on how to think, how to move, how to stand. Think about elementary school. It was like, sit down, sit right here. This is your assigned seat. You know what I mean? Raise your hand to get up and sharpen your pencil. It wasn't no freedom to move about as you please, and, within reason, it does make sense, but it went through all through your school years. And you think about with anything, everything is about waiting in line, structure, stay in order, everything is about being nice and neat, don't color outside of the lines. And I just don't believe that, we was put here to be that way, because I believe that we are so creative. We got to be. If we come from the divine creator, we got to be creative. I mean, just look around the world. Look at all the structures that we see. I mean, let's just go with the sun and the moon. Let's stuck on that for a while. Look at the sun and the moon. You think the sun say, you know what? I ain't really feeling it today. I ain't coming out today. And matter of fact, I ain't coming out no more this year. Y'all done pissed me off. Can you imagine if that was man, if the sun was man, how we would be freezing to death because we don't have the sun? And look at the moon. The moon come out every night. Without the moon, we'd be walking around in pitch black. It's all relative. But they never say, you know what? They piss me off. I'm tired of them. I ain't doing this and I ain't doing that. Yeah, I ain't showing up. No, they don't do that. They show up. So this is the creative process from a higher power, from a higher source, that we should be paying attention to and actually imitating. This is really what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be imitating the original creator of this world that we live in. And guess what happened along the way? There was early people who got this information, and they know exactly what we were supposed to be doing. They knew that we were supposed to be imitating the creator, but in our own special, unique way. And so guess what they did? They quickly implemented practices and structures in place so that they would be the only ones who know that we are supposed to create. I mean, just think about it. You went to school, you learned what they wanted you to learn. You didn't have a choice. You didn't learn. How many learned their history? And I'm gonna put it out there, black and brown people don't learn their history. They might throw us a little bit like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but on the for real, black and brown people don't have no idea who they are. They don't know their history, and they're not taught it, And because, and sometimes when you're not taught it, you don't think it's valuable, that it's worth finding out about your history, but I'm more so gearing towards the training, the indoctrination styles or tactics that they utilize to get us to begin thinking a certain way inside the lines. Nobody wants to color out of the lines. Everybody wants to do what the powers to be say, and why do you think that society is so gung-ho on doing what the powers to be say so tough, even though the powers to be have showed on many, many, many occasions, pretty much every day you wake up. And so I don't know how you're living, but for the people that I'm talking to, look at your life. Look at where you live, and look at where you work. Look at what you do every day. Are you happy? Are you living the dream? Does this feel like a dream to you? Does your heart sing with joy? These are the things that we need to be asking ourselves, because if we just drudging through life, then we miss the boat. We miss the boat. And so I'm saying all this to say, you got people who are actually doing this. Now, granted, there's some people that's doing fine, that, they got a notion and they doing what they supposed to do. They happy, generally happy. But that's not a lot of people, you know what I mean, in comparison to the ones who are not. And I'm saying all this to say that if you are not where you desire to be, and you don't know what to do to get out of it, it would behoove you to try to listen to any bit of information. I'm not saying you have to take all information in. I'm just saying it will behoove you to get an actual, at least a hearing of the information that people are putting out, because you never know where that inspiration that's going to activate you. Inspiration, that body of inspiration, that time, that moment of inspiration, that spark that is going to activate you based on what you heard. And there's no way to measure wisdom in anybody. Once again, nobody knows. This flesh suit covers everything. Nobody knows who the Most High put greatness in. So if you're going off of this flesh suit as a part of judging someone based on how they look, based on how they dress, or based on a bit of jealousy, based on a bit of envy, based on a bit of ego, because ego will keep you dumb as hell. The ego that people carry keeps them dumb as hell, because the ego wants to resist everything. The ego resists everything. The ego don't want to say, well, I don't know that. The ego says, oh, I know that already. The ego don't want to know nothing new. The ego want to be in its own set ways, where somebody says, well, there's a better way to do this. I've been doing this way all my life. The ego will keep you broke, starving, hungry, and desolate. And most people okay with their ego. They think being stubborn, I'm gonna be stubborn because this is me. If you don't like this is me. Deal with it or you don't. And I absolutely agree with that. I agree with this is me, because you're supposed to be you. But if the you that you're being is not getting you nowhere, and you're not happy, you miserable, and you doing something, you drudging to do something every day that you hate, and you don't feel like you have any power in your life, this is the time when you need to sit down and have a talk with your ego and say, you know what? Next time we go and we get some information, you need to shut the fuck up, really, for real though. And I'm just saying this, I'm not saying nothing that I have not been through, because I had an ego too, man. I was 2 snaps, drops in a bucket, fuck it. That's me. I was the ego, but it wasn't getting me nowhere. Yeah, I felt good on the inside when I played big and bad, but at the end of the day, I was still in the same boat. Guess what? I still had to get up and go go to work the next day. I still had to go, and if they called overtime, guess where my black ass was at? It was right there doing overtime. So all I'm saying is, it's a whole bunch of things that we adopted in our lives, and some of it's learned, and some of we just adopted from being out in society, and it comes from like the groups that we hang around. You know, sometimes association can make you into a monster in the worst way, you know. So, you know, this is the time when you need to assess, because guess what? Time is going to keep going. I talked about the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon is going to keep coming out and going down, coming up, going down, whether you broke or whether you rich or wealthy, whether you got a big ego or whether you don't have no ego at all. I'm telling you, the sun and the moon is going to keep going. So if you feel big and bad having that ego, like, oh, I don't care, ain't nobody listening to her, ain't nobody want to listen to her, you know, or I don't want to listen to him, you know, look at him, look at his shoes. If you're judging people off of material things that don't even matter, I mean, you're going to stay right where you are. There will be no growth for you, you know, and I'm telling you this out of love, because the reality is I don't have to do none of these videos. I don't have to do none of the videos. I don't have to put out the messages. I don't have to tell you about what spirit downloaded into my spirit to give to the people. I don't have to do none of this. I could be defiant. I could tell my family, me, myself, and I, and my family, my loved ones, and we could be good. You know, I ain't got to tell nobody, but I am an introvert. So, you know, introvert, extrovert. So, you know, and that don't stop me from doing anything. I'm just saying, I'm cool. I don't have to be on camera, you know, giving information, but I choose to, you know, it's what the Most High put on my spirit to do. And this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to pass along wisdom to you, to get you to start thinking critically, to get you to wake up, to shake your mind to freedom, to let go of the ego, to stop being envious and jealous. The reason why you're envious and jealous of other people and what they got is probably because of your ego. Because if you're not willing to take the time to learn or get information or spend 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, to listen and actually receive what somebody is saying, because that jealousy and that envy is so strong, it kind of blocks your ears. It's almost like earplugs and blindfolds. Jealousy, envy, ego, those are like blindfolds, and those are your own worst enemies. You know what I mean? Those are your worst enemies, and some people hold them proudly, like, I ain't, you know, I got the neck too. We all got the neck, you know. And let's face it, we all can be sassy, we all can be bitchy, you know. We all know how to put out those sailor words like it ain't nobody's business. We all have the capacity to do that, but it's about choosing. It's about choices. You know, how is your character? What are you presenting to the world? You know. So, you know, I ain't gonna be long on this video. I just wanted to come on here and say that, because you know, I know a lot of people, and it's not just the information I'm giving, it's a lot of information out there that you see people like on the street give, you know. And let's face it, for people to come out on the street, you know, and give any kind of information on their own, that takes a lot. You know, would you be able to do something like that? Are you willing to do something like that? Do you care about your fellow man enough to go do something beyond yourself? You know, these are the things that, you know, we need to ask ourselves. You know, everybody's got their individual, like, oh, it's me. Oh, it's me. But let something happen and you don't have anything. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what my videos are all about. Let something happen and you don't have anything. The same people, the same person that you shun, that you dismiss, that you judged, you know, that you used your ego and your neck twist or your 2 snaps and was like, oh, I don't need no information, I'm good. But yeah, you sitting there and you don't have half of the things you need for your life. You miserable because you got to work overtime, you know, and then the job that you have is not enough, so you have to get another job. You know, these are just the life cycles that's been indoctrinated into you to make you believe that we have to work hard, that we have to struggle, that we have to be bitter, that we got to be Billy badasses. We don't. You can still be in your power and you don't have to try to represent, because guess what? The one who speaks the loudest in the room is most likely the weakest. So, I mean, marinate on that. You know, I marinate on that. But yeah, I just wanted to put this video out there because, you know, we all was born with a level of creativity and a level of intuition and discernment. We should be able to discern what's good for us and what's not good for us. We should not allow jealousy, envy, and ego to cover our eyes and our ears, because that's what they do. They like like a monkey on your neck, covering your eyes and your ears. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. That's those monkeys. Most people with that ego, that jealousy and envy, those are the three monkeys. You got the three monkeys on your back in your world. And those three monkeys are going to keep you stagnant right where you are. So I'm trying to appeal to your sensibilities. I'm trying to appeal to the spirit side of you, because your spirit is crying out for wisdom. Your spirit is crying out for more. But most people ignore it, because you know why? Because everybody else around you is dealing with it. Everybody else done gained the ego, edge, the envy, the jealousy. It feels good when you can say, oh, they ain't all that. Oh, they ain't this or they ain't that. It feels good. The ego feels, proud of himself that he did that. But guess what? You say that about somebody, and that person going home to their married life, they happy. They got it. They got the wisdom that they need to live the life that they plan for themselves, that they devise for themselves. While you and ego go home and you are not the least bit happy. You miserable because you got to go to bed. And I done said it. I done said it enough. This is what I want you to start realizing, guys. It's time to open your minds, because this old way of being, old way of thinking, old way of acting, it's dead. It's a new age. We're in an age of Aquarius, and we're going to all have to elevate. And if you don't elevate, and when I say elevate, I mean within your mindset where the ego, jealousy, and envy reside. If you don't elevate within your mindset, if you think you unhappy now, it's only going to get worse, because while everybody else is elevating and expanding and growing, you're going to be staying back there with the three monkeys. I don't care. I don't care. Shoot, I'm good. I'm good. But guess what? Nobody else is going to care either. You're going to keep saying, I don't care, and nobody else is going to care either. But I don't wish that for nobody. I don't wish that for you. I didn't wish it for me. I had to come to senses with myself and realize that ego was getting me in trouble. I told that ego to shut and I told that envy and jealousy, I was like, well, instead of me being envious and jealous, why don't I ask them? Why don't I ask them? You'd be surprised if you see somebody and it stirs up a level of envy and jealousy for you. Maybe if you ask them something that you feel like is causing that envy or jealousy, ask them. Most people, I'm telling you, they would be more than happy to share. But that ego will hold your tongue, other than saying smart stuff. You got it. You don't need nobody. You don't want to hear it. You can keep saying that all you want to. And I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just telling you there is another way. There's another way to go about this. And it's imperative that you kind of get that other way sooner than later. Because there's going to be a time where if you're not getting it, if you're not letting go of the ego, the envy, the jealousy, and so many other things, but we'll get into at another time, another video. If you refuse to let go of those things, you're going to find yourself by yourself. Everybody else is going to be then elevated and evolved right on past your ass, And, that's it. That's all I want to say, and as always, I'm going to say we got to get over before we go under, because nobody's going to do it for us. This is something that we have to act, we have to independently discern and choose for ourselves. Nobody's going to choose it for you. Nobody's going to choose it for you. And see, that's where the attitudes and the envy and stuff come from. Most people, you don't want to listen to nobody. You don't want to hear nothing. You don't want to perceive or receive any information. But yet, if you see somebody and they have something that you don't, and you get envious and jealous, you don't want to listen to anything. How would you ever achieve or accomplish or be able to attain anything if you don't listen? Because you have to seriously say, I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I probably need to do more learning. I probably need to do more critical thinking so that maybe I can gather the information that I need, so that maybe I no longer have to be envious and jealous. I could be right there with the same items that I was once envious about. We got to get over, guys, before we go under. And just know that I'm putting out these messages out of love. Your pure love. I'm trying to get you to critically think. I'm trying to get you to wake up. You can put your head in the sand like ostriches do and go la 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 like you don't hear anything. You can keep your three monkeys. It don't matter. Everything else is going to pass on by. If you notice, everything spins, everything turns, everything is in motion. Every single thing in this earth and universe is in motion. And let's go with space, because it's the most obvious things that we see in motion. Look at all the solar system. Everything is in motion. If you are not in motion, you're behind the curve. And in motion, I mean actively, deliberately, on purpose, planning something better for yourself, opening your mind to receive bigger things, more wisdom, more knowledge than you had yesterday, you know. So, you know, it's time to get in action, guys, you know. And I think that's it. If I have anything else, if I feel I want to get some more thoughts off my chest, then, you know, I'll do another video. I'll do a part 2. But I just wanted to introduce you to me, you know, Karol J, the one who's presenting these videos to try to get you to critically think, you know. And I ain't trying to tell nobody what to do, because everybody has free will. It's up to you to discern how you're going to utilize your free will, because once again, nobody cares. Your choice is your choice. Your free will is your free will. It's your free will. Take a look around at your life and then ask yourself, should I, you know, sometimes you got to humble yourself. You got to drop the pride and say, I need more. I need some help. And it's out there. It's out there. You just got to be open to receive it. You got to be vulnerable at some point. Being hard ain't going to work. It ain't going to work all the time. Now, not when you're trying to elevate. I'm telling you now. If you're trying to elevate, being hard ain't going to work, because you're going to be kicked right out the elevation. What is it? Travel. You're going to be kicked right out of the plan, right out of the path, you know. So until the next video, guys, Ochite.